So I'm doing a reading on Alex Jones, the conspiracy theorist. So I will be doing a 7-layer energy reading first, just to start out, establishing the basic patterns of um, different layers of energy within his aura, an aura reading. And then I will look at some more interesting things. So I'm going to try and be quick about this. So I'm seeing his energy as being red, very fiery, obviously, of course. Kind of like a volcanic red. So I'm going to match to his energy so I can read where he's coming from. Okay, so I'm going to be looking at the first layer of his energy field, and this represents safety, security, survival, well-being, money, things of that nature. So I'm just seeing a ring, and it's like he's holding this ring in his hand, and it's like he's swinging from it. He's holding this ring in his hand. He's swinging from. But he's also really inspecting it, and there's some sense of security in him swinging from this. But at the same time, it looks like it's a little limiting. It's not like he's able to go very far with it. But he's really inspecting it. He's like very detailed. He's getting into some fine details within this ring that he's holding on to. It's kind of like at a playground where you would swing from something, and that's just what he's swinging from. And this has to do with his everything he puts his faith into. But this is also about his stability specifically. This is about his ability to be relevant with today and just other people. Let's see more about this ring that he's holding on to. I'm seeing it's getting really like hot, and it's almost burning his hands. And so he lets go, but then he jumps back up and grabs onto it again. And this has to do with the media coming down on him. But he's very determined to grab onto these rings. So see if there's more of a meaning here, or if there's something more interesting about this. It's like he's trying to get somewhere else, actually. I see him looking, and it's like he's trying to actually get to the next ring, and he's stuck on this one ring that's more basic and more about like the economy or whatever, like numbers, like more like familiar types of concepts, and he's trying to get to this next ring, which looks like, more like David Icke type stuff is how I'm saying it coming up, and like more like secret society type of stuff, like insider info. Like he's trying to get more out there, in other words, and he feels like he's kind of behind the curve, so to speak, within the progression of secret esoteric knowledge that's coming across. Let's see, how does this play into his first layer? Safety, security, and survival. So he's really hanging on to this information that he's kind of gotten him where he is now based off of this information that he's really hanging on to. Um, and it's like that's his foundation, but it doesn't really connect up with this other stuff so well. So he feels like he's kind of stuck a little bit. Um, I'm getting that there's a. It's like he's very adamant about this particular way of doing things. Like he wants to grab on this one ring and then go from there to grab on the next ring, go to the next ring, and whatnot until he views himself as being like almost like a god is what it's coming across. Um, but it looks like it's just not working for him. He just like it's like when you touch something and it just burns you, and he keeps going back to trying to do it again. Let's see what his next step is within this. Okay, so he's kind of lost his sense of what he knows to other things. Like he's trying to be something else. He's trying to be this type of conspiracy theorist that he's put up on a pedestal that he views as being, you know, the knower of all the esoteric secret knowledge. And he's not focusing on these external ideas coming from other conspiracy theorists, and he's more just focusing on himself and what's more relevant to him, and kind of like taking a time out in some regards, like literally like shutting himself off. And it looks like he's kind of like irritated doing that, like he just feels like he has to reach for the next thing. It's just like it's almost like he needs to like force himself to stay on, like sit down on a bench and just like sit there and don't get up. Like it's almost like a challenge for him because he's so used to looking for the next thing. Looks like when he's able to do that, he is able to really kind of have things fall more into place, and things make more sense. Um, it looks like there are things going on in the economy that troubles him, but he's been kind of taking that off and or taking that in a different direction because of these external influences. But like when he's able to really sit down, he's able to really kind of see like what's more relevant. Um, it looks like there really are things that he cares about that are like real legit things going on, like in the economy and whatnot, where these things could be pointed out. So I'm gonna move on to the next layer. For the sake of time, the second layer has to do with emotions, sensuality, sexuality. Like happy, and he's kind of yelling at the same time. It's like he's jumping up and down, trying to get lots of attention. Um, and it really makes him happy. Something about like a horse, and the way that a horse kind of like kick its hind legs. Just that image is coming up. That's kind of like the emotion I'm getting regarding that. It's like exciting and like thrilling and like yeah, like revving things up kind of. He seems to really be enjoying that. Um, look at what this has to do with his career. It's kind of like almost just like gets off on the drama on some level, kind of like how the stereotypical weightlifter like has that really um, the attitude, and they really kind of get off on that, being like super aggressive, and he kind of does that, but in a totally different sort of way. Let's see why this is. For some reason, a gun shows up. This is about him having his own power, feeling powerful. This is about him feeling secure, and him like exercising his right to really have the things that make him feel secure. Um, it's like he's in a chaotic, insecure world, and he's figured out the tools that work for him, and it's like he has to defend his right to have those things so that he can feel safe. So it has to do with parents. He wants to be like a good old boy and a good son, and this is just kind of like being secure is a part of what makes him feel like he's doing the right thing, and it's kind of um, it's funny you would think that would be more of a father type of thing, but I'm actually seeing it coming from his mother who wants him to really be secure. And this could be outdated. It might not even be relevant anymore, but that's the type of energy. And it might not even be her opinion necessarily. It could just be her energy that's affected him on an energetic level, even if it's completely unconscious. And so there's something kind of standoffish about him because he wants to defend himself. And that's what makes him feel righteous and safe, really, and in control. And that's just what he knows and how things have always been. And if those are taken away, it's like it feels like somebody has violated him. It's like all his work has just been violated. Like his whole life, everything he stood for, like um, as if his identity had been destroyed. Yeah, so there's a lot going on there. So I'm gonna go ahead and move on to the next layer. I can go back to that later. Um, Next layer is the third layer. This has to do with doingness, what people do, as well as willpower, male and female energies. He's in a hurry to get on this train, but it looks like he's missing this train and it's going by too fast for him. But he's used to this, and it's as if he's waiting for the next train, and he's just gonna keep trying. And he's it's like he's not even upset that he misses the train. He just kind of it's like a game to him. It's like, oh yeah, oh I won't miss that one. I'll get the next one maybe. And it's just like a game. Like I'm gonna keep doing this. And it's like he's almost pushing people's buttons by doing. He's like, I'm gonna ramp it up. I'm just gonna do this. I'm gonna get on this train one of these days. He's like not even supposed to be there. He's not even supposed to be getting on these trains. Let's see, what is this about? What are these trains about? These trains are going to politicians. Yeah, this is very basic. He's just trying to get into, where politicians are going to be. And let's see, what more is interesting about this? See him pulling out a phone and talking to people. So he's got a network of people um, who are all kind of helping him. These look like people who are kind of behind the scenes, not part of his show, really. And there's a bit of a publicity stunt involved here, and it's not like he's entirely deciding to do everything on his own. Looks like there's this other man who's kind of like the information behind him on some level. Sort of more like the manager, I would say. Not that he's giving him all the information, but more like managing and directing him to be successful. Um, Looks like there's a network of people too. It's not just one person, but there's one in particular showing up. Um, let's see, what is their agenda here? Oh, they're just trying to create a following. Obviously, this involves political stances, of course. It's not so much about political. It's not that they're representing like one side of politics over another intentionally. They may be doing that on some level, but like that's not where they're coming from. Where they're coming from is they're trying to represent a certain type of lifestyle, which you could say is the same thing, but they're not coming from it like in a, you know, specific political ideology necessarily, even if it falls into that. I'm just saying like where they're coming from with this. What is their real goal behind it all? Behind the actions. And this is about like farmer, small town type of vibe and getting those people to care. That's what they want. They want those people to care. They want those people to stand up for themselves. They want those people to do something within their power to have their rights, to not be taken advantage of by what looks like a changing world of the economy just coming in and taking over these lifestyle it's been working for them, and that there's nothing wrong with it from their perspective. And on some level, I would agree. And people just coming in and kind of just ruining their life path as far as it's been set out for them. And so that's where they're coming from. I'm not saying that it's true or untrue. I'm just saying where they're coming from. And you can agree or disagree on that within your own perspective. This is, again, a very neutral reading. I read from a neutral space. There's no judgment involved in any of this. This is just where they're coming from. And so I'm going to go ahead and move on to the next layer. Next layer is the fourth layer. The fourth layer is about your identity. So this is Alex Jones' identity. Clear out this energy really quick here. Alex Jones' identity. So I'm seeing him on a boat with binoculars and he's searching for something. He's desperately searching for what looks like treasure. Looks like he's getting into like pirate territory. And he just doesn't care. He's really, really reaching for this gold and whatnot. So how does this affect his personality or his identity? He sees himself as a almost athlete, like in the way that someone in a game would be, going for the goals, basically. And he's determined. It's almost, there's a sense of competition within all of this, but it's not so much about like his competition as much as him being seen by other people and recognized as a character who is going after the gold, so to speak, and being seen as a competitor, being seen as someone who is really going for it. And so this is more about him being seen that way. So I want to see what is his truth within this. So he's using this image on on some level, it's not really necessarily his truth. It's more like, the mask he wears when he's on display. Let's see what his truth is. So there are things that um, he wants to fight for, but they're not all. But he's not going all out on these other directions, on these other voyages. It's like his truth is that there are these things that bother him, but the way that he feels he has to enact it in order to bring light to it, he has to like take on this persona of going all out and going further than what he actually believes necessarily. It's like he kind of gets, like, um, what is the saying? You foot in mouth. Um, you know, when you kind of like say too much and you're like saying stuff and then you're saying stuff you don't even you look back on it and you're like, why was I even saying that? So it's kind of like that, but it's not so much that he looks back on it and regrets it. It's more that he uses that and feels that it's necessary in order to reach people. Let's see a little bit more about this. This looks like he's more interested in things like the stock market and the economy, and these things are, and like things that would relate to farmers, things of that nature. Southern lifestyle, I guess you could say. Although that's just me. I'm not reading that. This is me interpreting it. So just ignore that, actually. But it's that sort of thing. Those are the things that that are like authentic, that he's really defending. I'm seeing more here. I'm trying to understand what this is. There's like levers, like a whole bunch of levers. What is this? It's almost like scoops. Has to do with industry. Okay, so there's like all these different things going on, and he's concerned about the net whole of society as a whole, and it looks like there's something very authentic to his concern here. Let's see more what this is. Oh yeah, people are not being treated justfully. People are being taken over by this societal expectations, like the different, like when you move to a large city and you can kind of see how in some cases there's less humanity, I guess you could call that, like the toxicity of city life. And he's noticing how that's really taking over the human spirit and causing people to become more like kind of machine-like, I guess you could call it. And he's really acutely aware of that, and there's this lack of being down to earth type of vibe that he is acutely aware of, that comes from more like the city folk type. And so that seems to be where his truth is. And then because of that, he takes on this identity that's a little. He feels like he has to have like a megaphone and be like yelling and like overdoing things in order to get people's attention, and he just kind of goes overboard, and that's his identity that he's taken on. and it doesn't look like it's really working for him and his truth. I want to see what his identity is that is working for him. So I'm seeing within all of this, there's a part of him that is very calm and concerned, and calculating is the word coming up. It's interesting. And it's like he's able to just really let things pile up and build up to really see a bigger picture. And it looks like there is some aspect of that is real for him. That is working for him, working in his favor, for his spirit. So I'm gonna move on to the next layer. Next layer is the fifth layer. This has to do with communication. This looks like it's coming out of a blue vibration color. I'm seeing him and it looks like he's playing cards. And it's like he's setting his cards down. He's a little concerned about what's going on in this game. He wants to really play the right deck of cards. Like he's almost getting really into the game, almost upset at it. Like he really wants to win. And it's like it's a little over excited, or a little too into it. Just like, so what does this have to do with communication? Let's see. So his communication, he's kind of lost himself in this need to win, to the point where it really kind of becomes his communication. It's just him really trying to assert himself, and he's really missing this ability to just sit back and relax. Looks like that is a big thing going on here. Let's see what's his next step. Looks like he's very tangled up in a lot of emotions because of things that have been thrown at him, like, you know, people saying things or whatever, accusations, and it's kind of like almost created like a spiral, like knot, and coming down and like spiraling around, like especially within this fourth chakra, again having to do with identity and stuff like that, and love, and it's really just like kind of like a hook, like fishing. It's just like it's caught him. He's been caught by that, and so he's kind of lost his cool, so to speak. He's lost his, I call it, lost his space, lost his groundedness, um, lost his own energy. He's not running his own energy. He's running the energy of other people's expectations or judgments or thoughts, and him being like trying to fight that instead of just being himself. It's like he's lost his own energy, not running his own energy, is what I'm getting at. Caught up in a stream of other stuff that's not his truth. Let's see. Yeah, it's like a peaceful game could turn into a yelling match because he's so defensive because of all these accusations towards him. Okay, I'm going to move on to the next layer, the sixth layer. This has to do with clairvoyance. his ability to see things for what they are, as well as be seen himself, or to see other people for who they are. So he looks like he's out in nature, in this picture at least, symbolically. And he's really, it's like he's trying to peek under the curtain, is the vibe that I'm getting. And he's looking around in nature. Obviously, it's like he's looking for the hidden message, but that's what's coming up. And he's really looking towards the earth, and he's really looking towards nature for this. It's like he's trying to, but he's still around the industrial energy. There's like industry, people, influence, and it's like he sees that as being bad. It's like this energy I'm seeing at like a railroad track, and it's like he's trying to see. Wait, is it? No, it's not the railroad track that's bad. I don't even know what it is that's bad, but there's something that's like bad to him. But it's like the dynamic between the railroad track, between the industry and nature, um, just the nature, natural ground around. He's looking for, okay, I get it. So nature can be tricky, and he's looking for how the industry is using nature in a tricky way, like using nature in a, you could call it unnatural way, although nature is a weird word you can twist. Like, what even is nature? Like human nature? I don't know. But using the natural environment, the way that things are without human intervention. So what does this have to do with the sixth layer of clairvoyance? He's really tapping into something here. Like there is a spirit of like a natural earth spirit that he's kind of aware of this on some level. But he's aware of how it's not always good, if that makes any sense. I mean, nature, for example, look at a praying mantis. They kill each other and eat each other after they mate. Black widow, things like that. So, if humans did that, that would not be, we would say that's not natural, but that's how nature is. So he's seeing that, and he's seeing how nature is like that, and how humans are taking advantage of that on some level. This is confusing me a little bit, because it's not really about humans. Okay, so there's like human nature, and he sees it as human nature. There's like a natural form of human nature, and then there's humans taking advantage of human nature and taking this like kind of twisted nature that you would see with other species that are not human, and taking that on and using it against other humans. That's what's coming up. And so I'm not saying this is like confirming any sort of conspiracy. I'm not saying it is or isn't. That's not what this is about. Um, but there is something about that he is conscious of. Let's see how this plays out. It's a little bit obsessive. It's a little bit like he just like dwells on it and it becomes bigger than it really is. It's like when you look at something from a different angle, everybody can see the same thing, but it might look completely different on the other side. And everybody draws a picture of it in a circle, and they all have a completely different picture. This is kind of like that. He's looking at it from this one perspective, and it's just like blown out of proportion. This one angle of it, although there is truth to it at the same time. So what he's saying, I'm not saying what all that he's saying is true or untrue. I'm just saying that there is some truth that he is aware of on a clairvoyant, I guess you could say intuitive level, where he really sees that there is something going on here. But it's all consuming and it's destroying him and it's not really working for him. So I'm going to see what his next step is here. So I'm seeing his next step is he has a crystal ball, or like an 8-ball sort of thing, and he's shaking it. And it's saying, go, something about will and be. But anyways, what it has to do with is him following, oh yeah, his will, or following his connection to the supreme force, God, whatever you want to call it, universe, the guiding light. But anyways, I see him holding it up to the sky, and it's like he's kind of letting go of all this and being able to be guided to see something different. It looks like that's really his next step, but he's kind of depressed. It looks like there's a bit of depression around this that's preventing him from being able to do that. This looks like a lot of father energy is involved with this, because father has really kind of put him in this state, and now he's like, it's like his father was his guiding light, and so he's stuck on this, but he doesn't realize that there's more. Yeah, it's just like he's depressed and doesn't realize that he can find a new or a continuing source, like more of a flow of guidance that isn't just like so specific on one thing, but it's like, and you don't have to understand it. It's like everything's been so pinpointed on these specific things. There's this flow to the divine guidance that you just kind of go with, and it doesn't even make sense. And he's just, it's like he's found it and he's stuck on it, but he hasn't found it in the sense that he's going with it and on the flow. He doesn't have the flow aspect to it. Let's see what would help him here. I'm saying that he could use more joy in his life, like possibly getting a puppy, like a dog, something like that. Something to bring joy into his heart to make him happy. Yeah. So I'm gonna move on to the next layer. This is the last layer. This has to do with the divine. This has to do with the connection to its source. Um, all that, universe, everything, whatever you want to call it. The seventh layer. Let's see. This is similar to the last thing I was just reading. He's depressed and he's sitting on the earth. I'm saying like there's this little earth and there's like him on this chair and he's sitting there like this with his head down. And he's depressed and he's in this thought mode that's really, yeah, again, it's everything that I just read. He's stuck. So where's what is this seventh layer? Let's see. There's a lot of emotional release. I see him. He has this ability to snap out of it, so to speak. It's not about him like snapping out of it. That's not the energy of it. The energy of it is actually him slowly like looking up is the way that I see it to this like, golden light, and it's like he's crying and just tears with like tons of emotion. Um, there's a lot bottled up in him. About how things are supposed to be, about how things should be, and he's created a lot of negative karma for himself by trying to hold on to the way that things should be and not being able to just release and forgive, although he does do that on some level. But he does it like inch by inch, and it's like even though he's doing that and he's releasing the energy on some level, there's so much of it built up that like it looks like if he did all of it, his life would just implode. Like he wouldn't be like I don't know. Like let's see what that would mean for him. Like he would literally just go insane if he tried to release all that energy all at once. Like in other words, forgive himself. Well, no, it's yeah, because there would be so much change. It would change so dramatically. It would be too much of a shock to a human body, basically. Like a human body can't handle that much all at once. Um, well, potentially it could be possible, I suppose, but he would he would lose like all his like everything he's worked for. Obviously, he would lose all of that, and he would just be like running around looking crazy, even more crazy than people already say he is sometimes. So it doesn't look like it would work for him in society. He'd become like more like a free spirit kind of almost like hippie like is what it looks like. That's kind of where his spirit is headed. But it's so why is he not doing that? Because he would feel less grounded because he's so used to specific a specific lifestyle and feeling safe. There's a lot of safety involved in all of this. So I'm going to look specifically at his career. Um, so that's more what I'm interested in here. Or where's he really coming from with all of this? I know I mentioned a little bit, but I want to look a little deeper into this. seeing him crying. And it's like he's sitting there by himself, and there's a lot going through his mind. There's a lot from his high school age that he's still working through, like trying to make sense of things, like sort of outrage. It's kind of funny, he's against the outrage culture, but he's very outraged himself. And there's a lot of like misplacement of like things seem misplaced to him, like unfair, like things were not right for him emotionally on some level. And this isn't like anything like really bad. This is just like him trying to make sense of his teenage years not being very popular is what's coming up, like him being somewhat just ignored, maybe not ignored, but just that guy that would try and say something and then it'd just be kind of like shut down, and it wouldn't be acknowledged. You wouldn't just be like kind of almost like a just there, just kind of a waste almost on some regard is how he would feel. He's just a waste of space. So he wanted to feel important, and so he took on big issues, big problems in the world, and really like was like, I need to take on the heavy stuff that matters, so that he could be relevant. So this is really coming from what he believes to be truth, but it's not like he's really doing it for his own truth as much as like trying to prove something. And that sounds kind of worse than it really is. It's like he's just trying to make his point, really. It's like he's really trying. He's really trying to bring out what needs to be addressed in the world. But it looks like there's a lot of, it's like he's almost tripping over his emotions in the process. I'm getting that 79% of what he says he really believes. And I don't know what the other number of percent, whatever the rest would be. It would be him kind of exaggerating or him kind of trying to piece things together in order to make what he really believes seem valid, trying to validate himself. There's a lot of insecurity within himself, but his insecurity causes him to push himself harder. So it's kind of funny, interesting dynamic there. Like his insecurity causes him to push harder and act like he's, he gets angry and he's like, no, this is how it is, even though he's not necessarily totally there. It's just more like he has these background ideas, these core ideas that are true, and then they take on other things and then go out. Let's see. Yeah, he's definitely like putting on like somewhat of an act on some level for approval. And this is creating some tension in him, and it's like part of him wants to cry because of it, because it's like he feels stuck. It's like he can't get out of this position. So I'm sure most people are probably interested in the conspiracy theories. Like, how true are they? I don't know if I can exactly answer that question, but I'm gonna ask to see just something about that, see what comes up. I'm seeing him talking to himself, but he's kind of talking to the public at the same time. It's kind of like internal, external at the same time. It's like talking inside his head and to the public. It looks like he's getting a lot of information from other people who are these other people? Again, it's like the esoteric, like people outside of himself or outside of his knowledge, but they kind of correlate with what he's saying. Let's see, what are these people about? Looks like they have very strong agendas. There's a very strong agenda here of some sort. I'm seeing something that has to do with a church. Like a Catholic church. Is what I'm getting. It might not be specifically that, but it's like something. That's what's coming through. Something along those lines. But it's like the higher ups of a Catholic church. It looks like there's some like intelligence, like intelligence operation kind of deal, like coming to him and like feeding him information that's taking him out of his like what he's really about and creating and spinning these things off to be more directed at foreign entities. And I mean like that within like other countries or even maybe entities as in like other beings, aliens or whatever. He does that too. But this is more specifically what I'm seeing is like just pointing his finger at other things instead of the things that are like within the U.S. government, which he does do that. But I'm seeing that it's creating this like us versus them type of mentality where he's basically being misdirected a little bit here by these other sources of information that he would call research on some level. Looks like if he just really stopped listening to these other people, and that's where a lot of this emotional trauma and drama is coming from, is these other people, this other information. It's like really, it's like causing this effect, right? It's like he's crying, and it's just like it's not his truth at all. Let's see more. What is their agenda? Oh, obviously to control him, that's what I'm getting. And to destroy him. And to destroy his career, destroy anything, because it looks like there are operations going on that are like more like smaller, more realistic, like things that he could potentially touch more on, just as general. You could call it corruption, I guess, if you wanted to, or you could just call it, you know, things he doesn't like or whatever. I don't know. It's probably more corrupt on the corrupt side than just dislikes. But either way, yeah, lies. There are lies going on, and they're creating like it's like there's a conspiracy, and then they're creating like a fake conspiracy to spin him off into a different realm of things. So it looks like that is a big thing, and um, something about politics came up. There's like a little bit of a political extremist ideology being pushed, but it's not being pushed entirely. It's like only little bits and pieces of it are. And so a lot of the false information is about things being bigger than they really are, like making everything part of this new world order when it might just be like a small scale operation of just like a corporation that's just being corrupt, or like a church possibly, or something like that. That might just be like lying about something, and it's just like not really that big of a deal, but it's being turned into like this other thing, so that it's not really credible anymore. And there are these specific people. I'm gonna see what these specific people are about. It's funny because it's literally everything that he's fighting against. It's like the industry, and it's like he's been duped by his own enemy. Yeah, I'm gonna go ahead and clear this energy out and end this reading. Looks like there is truth to what he's doing, but it looks like there's also, things that are not truth. So as far as him being what do they say, a Psyops, psychological operations agent, I don't see him being like that, but I do see him being controlled by Psyops unknowingly, as I would assume most conspiracy theorists have a little bit of that influencing them. Subscribe to my channel if you like. Click the bell. Click all when you click the bell so you get all my notifications. So when you go on YouTube, you'll actually see these videos. Check out my website. I should have information below this video. So if you want to check that out too, go ahead. Thanks. Take it easy.